Good morning, tubers. Welcome back for another adventure. So yesterday we managed to drag this thing out of the buckwheat and get it started, and we used the carburetor from the Bayou, and it didn't seem to be running right. It seemed to be running a lot like the Bayou. So what I want to do is pull this carb off and see what its issue is. It just kind of like very unstable and idle, almost like a vacuum leak. So let's open this up. Let's take this carburetor apart and see what's wrong. So obviously the first place you start is by removing the bowl. And this was a brandy new carburetor. And it looks like a new carburetor. So let's take it apart and see if we find something wrong here. So I went through the carburetor and it was really pretty clean except for this idle jet, and the center hole was a little dirty. And what I'm showing you here is how I use 3 strands of very fine wire going through it to clean it. And if you I know this is boring, but see how you could see right down the center at that little hole? You need to be able to see that, and this is actually pretty clean. Also, running that wire down there, it's copper, this is brass. It's slightly, the copper is slightly harder than the brass, I think, so it kind of cleans it up and rounds it out a little bit, and perhaps richens my mixture a little bit at idle. So anyway, that's all I found wrong with it. I'm just going to blow some solvent through all the holes there, all the jets, all the little passageways, so that I'm sure it's clean. Put it back together again. We'll smash it on the 250ES and see if it'll run. So I don't think I had a vacuum leak at my adapter here. You could see how the O-ring stamped a pretty good mark, but I put some aviation former gasket on it anyway, just to be sure, right? Vacuum leaks are very annoying, and especially small ones like would have caused some of my problems. They could just be a pest forever, so better safe than sorry. Okay, tubers, so I went through the carburetor, made sure everything was proper, and I also made sure the seal between the carburetor and my homemade flange is all good. You can see we got the gas tank of sorts on here. So I'm going to stage up the camera, we'll turn it over. By the way, it's warm, so you'll see how it's running. So here we go, portable ignition box on. Choke on. We have gas. Well, I guess my portable CDI box took a powder. I had it hooked up without the ground hooked to the engine, so that's not necessarily good for it. Or it could be just the batteries, no big deal. Anyway, I swapped CDI boxes, and here we are. And it still has that. It sounds like it's running rich. It's still not running right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out the carburetor. This is one that I just picked up. So we'll see if this is better. So I changed the carburetor and made a couple of adjustments to it, and it seems to be much better behaved. So here we are. Box on, choke off. got a little less of that loopy to it. The engine probably would have hurted to break in a little bit. Run some more fuel through the carb. Seems a little better. I haven't been through this engine, but I haven't done anything with the valves or anything. That's not bad. It's not a bad idle. Chokes off. Warmed up at this point. It's not too bad. And the kickstart clutch, hear it? There you go. The kickstart clutch whirling about. Next thing you guys will take this thing out for a ride. I have to go find the seat, mount up that gas tank a little better, and we'll get a ride out of this thing. That'll be the wrap of this video. Okay, here it is the next day. This is a cold start. I put some more gas into it. I got the jump pack on it. It's got a choke. It's got a seat. Got a little wind action. Right, do I have everything? Yeah, it looks good. Ridden this in 3 years. It's cold, so excuse its fussiness. Want some choke? Oh, the transmission shifted nice. It's a little cold and old-blooded. Got to keep an eye on the gas. Is like a rock. I probably have to oil these shocks up. Wow, now that the leaves are down, I can see that I have some widowmakers brewing. Choke half on. the automatic clutch is working beautifully on this thing. Right? That used to be the trick when you were racing. When you went to bring it into a turn, you would bang it down a gear and hold the shifter, feather the throttle a few times, get the RPMs way up, and then engage it. And depending on what you were riding on and what bike you had, how much power, you'd be able to get it to go sideways, right? The tires spinning and getting around the turn, getting it a little sideways means you're taking up more space and people can't get around you. So yeah, I haven't been out riding in a while back here, so it's always good to take a look, make sure I don't see Bob anywhere. I don't know why I'm getting that kickback. Happier. Seems happier with a little extra choke. You know, these PZ27s are a little bit small for these 250 and 300cc motors. I mean, they run, but they're a little small. Down at first. I have a carport coming. They wanted to deliver it next week, but I had to tell them I'm not ready. But I better be ready the week after that. So, I mean, obviously I got this thing running, but it too is not quite 100%. Let's see how she does with the Kickstarter. Well, not great. I don't much care for Kickstarters. So anyway, we got it running. We got a ride out of it. Not exactly perfect. Probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the valves, make sure they're not too tight. That would also do a little poppy. And I think I'm going to make an adapter for the 30, the PZ30, right? That gives me another 10% more, and hopefully that 10% more makes this and the Bayou a little happier. In the meantime, I want to thank you all for joining me on this project. It's always good to get these vintage machines back out and running, racing, hopping, whatever. Right? It's always good to see these things come back to life. Actually, it even looks pretty good. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you all for dropping by to watch. And comment and subscribe. Please remember, feet down, heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.